Chapter 2994 Difficulty Lowered? Please continue reading on Oxful. Omicronim. There was a faint smile on Lu Ming's face as he walked into the sky gate unhurriedly. Soon, they arrived at the center of the heaven gate. As soon as he walked to the center of the sky gate, Lu Ming felt a force enveloping him. This force was irresistible and ancient. It enveloped Lu Ming's body, rendering him immobile. Following that, Lu Ming felt his vision turn black. The next moment, he appeared on a platform. "This is my spirit." Lu Ming was stunned. He knew that his physical body was definitely still outside. What had appeared here was his spiritual will. There would definitely be a test waiting for him next. As expected, a figure appeared in front of him. The figure's appearance could not be seen clearly, but it was like a human shadow. The shadow moved. There was a long sword in his hand. He thrust the sword at Lu Ming as fast as lightning. "Break the sky." With a single thought, a long spear condensed in Lu Ming's hand and he thrust it out. Boom. The long spear and the sword shadow collided. Lu Ming felt an extremely terrifying sword chi rushing towards him. The long spear in his hand collapsed instantly. He retreated rapidly and was almost pierced by the sword. What a powerful force! Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. Although he had attacked in a hurry and did not activate the battle formula, with the thick Shen power he had now, a casual spear attack could kill an enemy that was several levels higher. However, the result was that he was forced to retreat. One could only imagine how it would be possible for anyone else to pass. Ordinary geniuses would only be insta-killed. The shadow missed its first attack and continued to attack at an astonishing speed. Sword shadows shot toward Lu Ming one after another. Double the combat power. With a thought, he activated the double battle strength of the battle character formula. Instantly, his body was filled with energy. It's really possible. Just the spiritual will entering can trigger the battle formula. Lu Ming himself was also shocked. He had only wanted to give it a try, but he had not expected it to work. After triggering the doubling of combat strength, Lu Ming's combat strength soared and he swept the long spear horizontally. Bang, bang, bang. After activating the battle symbol art that doubled his combat strength, Lu Ming's combat strength was completely above his opponent's. As the spear ray crushed over, his opponent's sword shadows collapsed one after another. In the end, the long spear struck the shadow's body. The shadow's body directly exploded and turned into a fake. "There should be more," Lu Ming muttered. He didn't believe that he would pass through the heaven gate so easily. Indeed, the next moment, 3 shadows appeared in front of him and charged toward Lu Ming. However, even the 3 shadows were no match for the current Lu Ming. Moon-slaying sword. Lu Ming cast the second move of the 3 indestructible strikes. The crescent-shaped spear ray swept across and one of the shadows was destroyed. Soon, the 3 shadows were all killed. However, it wasn't over yet. After the 3 shadows disappeared, 9 more shadows appeared. The 9 shadows joined hands to set up a large array, and its power increased many times. Streaks of terrifying sword shadows slashed at Lu Ming with terrifying power. There was no doubt that if Lu Ming was hit by the sword shadow, his body would be severely injured. In the beginning, one person entered the heavenly gate and died. There was a bloody mark between his brows, and his soul was destroyed. Most likely he had suffered such an attack. This made Lu Ming feel some pressure. 4 times the battle power. Lu Ming could not be bothered to delay any further. He immediately activated the battle formula that increased his combat strength by 4 times. After erupting with 4 times his combat strength, Lu Ming naturally finished off his opponent in an overwhelming manner. As the long spear pressed down, the black shadow exploded continuously and finally disappeared. "Is it over? It can't be that fast," Lu Ming muttered. As expected, it was not that simple. In the next moment, 18 black shadows appeared, forming a large array and charging toward Lu Ming. "Do you want to try the ancient god body?" "Forget it. I'd better keep a low profile." Lu Ming thought about it and decided not to use the ancient god body. After using the ancient god body, he would definitely be crushed again. If this was the last round, Lu Ming's time was too short. It had only been slightly more than a minute since he had entered this place. Previously, Jin Yuan and the others had taken 15 minutes. Qiu Yu had also used 5 minutes. If he had taken care of it in a minute, it would have been too shocking. Therefore, he began to fight with the 18 shadows. Even a large array formed by 18 shadows was not a match for Lu Ming now. Therefore, Lu Ming was able to deal with it easily. Soon, 5 minutes had passed. Lu Ming's spear suddenly changed and its power increased. Boom! The spear radiance crushed down like a mountain and destroyed the opponent's formation. Then, he attacked continuously and killed all 18 shadows. I don't think so. Lu Ming muttered. If there were more, he didn't believe that Gold Ingot and the others could pass. Indeed, after the shadow disappeared, a force appeared. Lu Ming's vision turned black again. The next moment, when he opened his eyes, he realized that he was still standing in the middle of the sky gate. It's not that difficult. Lu Ming stretched lazily and smiled at Qiu Yu. He then stepped forward, passed through the heaven's gate, and walked to Qiu Yu's side. It's passed? Many people were dumbfounded and completely stunned. Chapter 2994 Entering Star Moon Ancient City. Please continue reading on Oxville. Omicronim. The young man in the yellow robe released his divine power. Jin Yuan could tell the degree of the awakening of the young man's divine power. It was equivalent to an 80% awakening. Even the two of them can pass. I have awakened 80% of my divine power. That's enough, the yellow-robed young man said coldly. Then he stepped forward and stepped into the heavenly gate. However, when he stepped into the sky gate, his expression turned serious. Although he had said that the difficulty of the sky gate had been reduced, he didn't dare to relax in the slightest and was on full alert. When he was halfway to the sky gate, he stopped moving just like Lu Ming. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the yellow-robed young man. If the yellow-robed young man could pass through the sky gate, it meant that the difficulty of the sky gate had indeed been reduced. In the blink of an eye, 2 minutes had passed. Suddenly, the yellow-robed youth's body trembled. How is it? Everyone's heart trembled. Then, the yellow-robed young man let out a blood-curdling screech. His body flew out of the heavenly gate as if he had been hit by a giant beast. He crashed onto the ground and spat out a large mouthful of blood. His aura was extremely weak. Everyone saw that there was a crack between the yellow-robed young man's eyebrows, from which blood was flowing. The yellow-robed young man's eyes were filled with fear. He had almost died. It was obvious that the yellow-robed youth had failed. He had been defeated so badly that he had almost been left behind forever. The difficulty of the Heaven's Gate has not decreased at all. Someone muttered. Everyone's attention returned to Lu Ming and Qiu Yu. The difficulty of the Heaven's Gate was not reduced, but Lu Ming and Qiu Yu took 5 minutes each to pass it. From this, it could be seen that the two of them were terrifyingly talented. In particular, Jin Xing, Jin Yuan, and a few other paragons who had passed through the Heaven's Gate looked at Lu Ming with killing intent and solemnness. Everyone, I'll leave it to you to enter Star Moon Ancient City. Lu Ming must die in the Ancient City. At this moment, a few of the Qin clan's geniuses were secretly sending messages to the other geniuses. He was sending messages to a few geniuses of the aristocratic families that were on good terms with the Qin family. Don't worry. As long as we meet him in Star Moon Ancient City, we won't let him come out alive. The geniuses from the aristocratic families replied. What? At that moment, Lu Ming seemed to have sensed something. He suddenly turned to look in the direction of the Qin family's paragon. Just now, he had felt many killing intents land on him. It seems that other than the Jin family and the Qin family, there are still geniuses from other aristocratic families who want to kill me. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. If they wanted to kill him, they had to be prepared to be killed by him. Following that, more people chose to enter through the door. Chua, let's go. Lu Ming looked at it for a while and lost interest. He held Qiu Yu's hand and walked toward the passage. Yes, let's go too. The experts have all made their moves. There's nothing to see now. It's boring to watch people climb through the dog gate. Let's go. As soon as Lu Ming and Qiu Yu left, the others could not sit still any longer. They moved one after another and walked into the passage. Inside the passageway was not Star Moon Ancient City, but a door of light. A teleportation gate. It seems like this is the gate that leads to the inner part of Star Moon Ancient City. Lu Ming smiled and stepped into the door of light with Qiu Yu. After that, the others stepped into the light door and disappeared. After most of the people had entered the door of light, the people outside also moved. Some of them bowed and crawled through the dog gate with red faces. Then, they ran with their heads down and entered the light gate. After more than half a day, everyone had entered the light door, leaving Bai Li alone outside. All the heaven's favorites from the 4 heavenly king manors are here. I hope they won't suffer too many losses this time. I also hope they will gain something. Bai Li muttered and sat down cross-legged outside. He was going to wait here for 10 years. As soon as Lu Ming stepped through the door of light, he felt as if he was traversing through the void. The next moment, Lu Ming found himself in a canyon. What? Lu Ming frowned because he realized that Qiu Yu was not by his side. Lu Ming rose into the air and looked around. In the end, he realized that he was in a primeval forest and Qiu Yu was nowhere to be seen. I've miscalculated. It turns out that the teleportation to Star Moon Ancient City is random. Lu Ming muttered and could not help but feel worried. Qiu Yu's cultivation was the weakest among the geniuses who entered Star Moon Ancient City this time around. She was only a 2nd-level heavenly god. If he ran into someone with ill intentions, he would probably be in danger. Qiu is also a person of great fortune. She should be fine. Lu Ming consoled himself. He took out the voice transmission jade talisman and realized that he could not transmit his voice. I'd better cultivate while I look for Qiu Yu. Lu Ming pondered and then looked around. In the end, he realized that he didn't know where he was at all. He was surrounded by the primeval forest. I didn't expect that there would be a primeval forest in Star Moon Ancient City. Lu Ming muttered. He then chose a random direction and flew forward. The primitive forest was dense with vegetation and dense divine qi, but there was not a single living being. Chapter 2996 Statue. Please continue reading on Oxville. Omicronim. The big-nosed young man said, asking the person who had just fought with him to leave. The other party sneered, but he still chose to leave in the end. His strength was slightly weaker than the big-nosed young man. If he continued to fight, he would most likely not be his opponent as time went on. He sneered and swept a glance at Lu Ming. Then, he turned into a rainbow and left the place. As soon as the young man left, the big-nosed young man's figure flashed and he appeared beside Lu Ming. A wisp of qi activity locked onto Lu Ming. You want to kill me? Lu Ming said faintly with a faint smile on his face. You're not stupid either. The big-nosed young man's eyes turned cold. A powerful aura burst out and enveloped the area within a radius of 10,000 miles. The big-nosed young man had the cultivation of a 9th-tier celestial deity. Furthermore, his divine power had also awakened to a certain extent, but it was not even 50%. If I remember correctly, I didn't defend you. Tell me, who sent you to kill me? The Jin family or the Qin family? Lu Ming asked. Why are you asking so many questions when you're about to die? The big-nosed young man sneered. Oh, it's fine if you don't want to tell me. Other than the Jin family, there's only the Qin family. But speaking of which, your information isn't that well informed. Are you sure you can kill me? Lu Ming smiled faintly. This big-nosed young man most likely did not know that he had defeated Icehawk. Otherwise, he would not be so confident. What do you mean? The big-nosed young man was slightly stunned. I mean, he'll send you on your way now. Lu Ming's cold voice rang out. As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Ming stepped forward. His body swelled up rapidly and he transformed into an ancient god body. At the same time, he activated the battle formula that multiplied his combat power by 4. A violent aura pressed toward the big-nosed young man. This aura... It's impossible. As soon as he sensed Lu Ming's aura, the big-nosed young man's expression changed drastically, and he was horrified. Lu Ming's aura made his heart tremble. Boom. Lu Ming launched an attack. A huge spear ray pressed toward the big-nosed young man. Vanguard battle Dao. The big-nosed young man roared. A long spear appeared in his hand. He waved the long spear and suddenly, chariots appeared in the sky. There were even warriors on the chariots. The chariot rumbled toward Lu Ming. The big-nosed young man came from the Sun family, a great aristocratic family in the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion. This secret skill was unique to the Sun family, and its power was astonishing. However, when Lu Ming's spear ray pressed down, the chariots shattered one by one. In an instant, all the chariots were shattered. Boom! As the spear radiance pressed down, the big-nosed young man retreated and spat out a large mouthful of blood. How is that possible? How can he be so strong? The big-nosed young man roared in his heart. Indeed, he did not know that Lu Ming had defeated Leng Ying. Therefore, he thought that Lu Ming was merely a 4th-level celestial deity. No matter how talented he was, he would not be that strong. He had never expected that he would be severely injured in just one move. Run! The big-nosed young man immediately turned around and ran. It's too late to escape now. Lu Ming's cold voice was heard. He cast the 9 heavenly Kunpeng technique and a Kunpeng was formed. With a flap of its wings, Lu Ming quickly chased after the big-nosed young man. Space breaking. Lu Ming waved his spear and thrust it forward. A ray of spear light shot toward the big-nosed young man at an alarming speed. Seeing that he could not escape, the big-nosed young man roared and brandished his spear to block. However, the result was that he was sent flying again, flying thousands of miles. His arm had exploded, and his injuries were even more serious. The big-nosed young man's combat strength was about the same as Leng Ying's. Back then, Lu Ming had to put in some effort when he was fighting Leng Ying. However, now that Lu Ming was circulating 7 types of divine-grade divine energy in his body, although most of the divine energy was not full, his strength had increased by a notch and he could already crush Leng Ying. Lu Ming, if you dare to kill me, the Sun family will not let you off. The big-nosed young man roared. Kill! Lu Ming could not be bothered to waste his breath on the other party. He launched a storm of attacks. The big-nosed young man barely managed to block a few more moves before he was smacked on the head by Lu Ming's spear and killed. With a wave of his hand, he kept the big-nosed young man's storage ring. In a flash, Lu Ming dashed toward the ruins on the mountain peak. This ruin had collapsed for many years. It was conceivable that in the long past, this mountain must have been covered with a big formation. Otherwise, it was impossible for the ruins to still exist after such a long time. It was likely that the sea had changed into mulberry fields, and nothing was left. Lu Ming looked around and was slightly disappointed as he did not find anything. Lu Ming did not stop. He rose into the air and left the place. Lu Ming did not have any gains for the next day. On this day, Lu Ming was flying when he suddenly felt something unusual in front of him. In front of him, he could feel a faint pressure. In Star Moon Ancient City, he couldn't let go of any abnormalities. Lu Ming's figure moved and flew forward. Not long after, Lu Ming had a discovery. In the wide area in front, there was actually a statue standing there. The statue was huge, at least 100 miles tall, standing in the clouds. We want you to know that there is only one consequence for killing the people of the Qin clan. A youth from the Qin clan exuded a powerful aura. Half-step divine king realm. Furthermore, this person's body faintly exuded a primitive and ancient aura. Although this person had not awakened the origin divine power factor, the degree of awakening was not low. His strength was definitely extremely shocking. For the time being, Lu Ming was not a match for such a prodigy. Moreover, the Qin clan had more than one heaven's favorite of this level. There were 2. There were also 2 9th-level celestial deity prodigies. A total of 4 people surrounded Lu Ming. Qin Wuyo, you're just courting death, Lu Ming said coldly. At the same time, his eyes darted around, looking for a way to escape. He definitely couldn't force it. The other party's strength was above his, and it would be foolish to force it. Leaving was the best plan. Who do you think you are? You're just a piece of trash from the Qin Heaven Star system. If my Qin clan wants to kill you, well, kill you. You can only obediently wait to be killed. Do you understand? One of the Qin clan's young men shouted coldly with an arrogant look. Lu Ming only smiled faintly and could not be bothered to reply. What's there to say to this kind of person? Kill! Suddenly, Lu Ming let out a roar and threw out a series of punches. 7 nine-clawed divine dragons flew out with a roar and pounced on a half-step divine king expert of the Qin family. You're overestimating yourself, die! The young man from the Qin clan shouted coldly. His body shook and a violent divine power gushed out. Then he punched out, and a huge fist print rushed out, shaking the void. Lu Ming's 7 nine-clawed divine dragons crumbled one after another. The man had a proud expression on his face. He was about to say something to show off when he saw Lu Ming's actions and roared, "Be careful!" It turned out that Lu Ming did not continue to attack him. Lu Ming's attack on him was just an illusion. After Lu Ming launched his attack, he retreated rapidly and rushed towards a 9th-level celestial deity youth from the Qin family. At the same time, his body expanded rapidly and he transformed into an ancient god body. Lu Ming's goal was to create a diversion and escape. Boom! Lu Ming shot out his spear at the 9th-level heavenly deity Qin clan's prodigy. 7 injury divine fist. The man reacted and threw a punch, sending a huge fist print at Lu Ming. However, a 9th-level celestial deity who had not awakened the origin divine power factor was not Lu Ming's match at all. The spear's gleam struck and the fist print shattered. The Qin clan's Heaven's Pride expert retreated and coughed out a large mouthful of blood. Lu Ming's figure rushed past him. He then cast the 9 heavenly Kuan Peng technique and charged forward. Stay here! Another half-step divine king from the Qin family attacked as well when he saw Lu Ming's attack. He threw a punch at Lu Ming. The Wu family's help. Please continue reading on Oxful. Omicronym. Lu Ming slashed out a crescent-shaped spear ray, which hit the fist print of the Qin clan's paragon. Boom! A deafening boom erupted. The crescent-shaped spear radiance shook violently and then shattered. A powerful force rushed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body trembled and he retreated rapidly. The qi and blood in his body churned, and he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. The divine power of a half-step divine king was already extremely dense. In addition to the 60 to 70% of the divine power that had been awakened, the power was too shocking. Lu Ming, who had gathered the power of 7 types of divine-grade divine power, could not withstand it. However, the youth from the Qin family was even more shocked. What's going on with this kid? A 4th-level celestial deity being so strong, simply monstrous. And his Shen power feels impure, but why is it so powerful? The Qin clan's young man had many thoughts in his mind. He was extremely puzzled. He could clearly feel that Lu Ming's divine power was mixed and impure. It seemed to be caused by an unstable foundation. However, its power was shockingly strong. A 4th-level heavenly deity who had not awakened the origin divine power factor yet was about to be able to contend with his divine power. He had also thought that Lu Ming's divine power was not mixed and impure. Instead, it contained 7 different types of divine power. After exchanging a move, Lu Ming turned around and continued to fly. You can't escape. The 2 young men from the Qin clan continued to chase after him. At this moment, Lu Ming noticed a mountain peak in front of him. There were a few young men on the peak who seemed to be resting. That is, the Wu clan's prodigy. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The few youths on the mountain peak were clearly the Wu family's prodigies. Lu Ming saw Wu Ming and Wu Yu among them. At that moment, Wu Ming, Wu Yu, and the rest also saw Lu Ming. This ancient god body. It's brother Lu Ming. That's the Qin family. Damn it. Brothers, hick. Wu Ming and Wu Yu immediately recognized Lu Ming. They also noticed the Qin family's prodigy. They did not need to think to know what was going on. They immediately roared. Leave it to us. On the mountain peak, Two of the Wu family's heaven's favorites flew into the air and charged towards the Qin family's heaven's favorites like two shooting stars. Two half-step divine kings joining hands to deal with a fourth-level heavenly deity. Your Qin family is really shameless. Let us be your opponents. A young man from the Wu family sneered. He slashed out with his sword from a distance. Buzz! A ray of sword light crossed thousands of miles and slashed at a Qin family youth. The sword light was bright and its power was overbearing. The youth from the Qin family had no choice but to stop and block. Boom! He punched out and blocked the sword light. His body also stopped. At the same time, the other genius of the Wu family also made his move and blocked the other young man from the Qin family. The two Qin clan's elites were both blocked. This is a matter of my Qin clan. This man killed our Qin clan's genius. Is your Wu clan trying to meddle in our business? A young man from the Qin clan said coldly. So what if I'm a busybody? Lu Ming is a friend of the Wu family. If you want to kill him, it's the same as killing a member of the Wu family. One of the geniuses from the Wu family chuckled. In the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion, the Wu family's strength was not any weaker than the Qin family, so there was no need to fear the Qin family. You guys. The two young men from the Qin clan had unsightly expressions. The two geniuses from the Wu family were no weaker than him. One of them had even stepped through the Earth Gate. His talent was shocking, and his combat strength was above theirs. They knew that with the Wu family's help, they would not be able to kill Lu Ming today. Kid, you're lucky. I hope you can keep going this far. The next time we meet will be the day of your death. One of the Qin family's young men looked at Lu Ming with a cold gaze. This sentence is exactly what I wanted to say to you. The next time we meet will be the day you die. Lu Ming responded indifferently. He would remember the enmity of being hunted down today. Hee, just you? A young man from the Qin family laughed disdainfully before turning around and leaving. Very quickly, the two youths from the Qin clan disappeared. Brother Lu, are you all right? Wu Yu and Wu Ming flew over. Lu Ming laughed like an ordinary person and said, I'm fine. Thank you for saving me this time. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to escape. If he had not encountered the Wu family's Heaven's Pride expert this time, he would have had to risk his life. The only way for him to go all out was to burn his ancient god heart. After burning his ancient god heart, he would definitely be able to kill the two Qin clan geniuses. However, the losses would be too great. It was not worth burning the ancient god heart for two Qin family members. Brother Lu, you're too polite. Since we're friends, we can't just sit by and do nothing. One of the Wu family's elites laughed. The other two Heaven's Pride experts were Wu Zixiong and Wu Su. Both of them were at the half-step divine king realm. Among them, Wu Zixiong's talent was even stronger. He had already awakened 90% of his divine power and was not far from completely awakening the origin divine power factor. He had already passed through the Earth's gate before. Of course, it seemed like there was not much difference between 90% and completely awakening the origin divine power factor. However, it was shockingly difficult to achieve. 90% of the people would be stuck, and it would be difficult for them to achieve the final breakthrough. Lu Ming smiled and did not say much. There were no words to thank him for his great kindness. He just had to remember it in his heart. Wait, something was wrong. Lu Ming suddenly thought of a problem. Brothers Wu, how did you all get together? Did you all just happen to be teleported here together? Lu Ming asked. No, we were separated when we were teleported here. We only gathered together after communicating with each other through the Jade Talisman. Wu Zixiong said. Jade Voice Transmission Talisman? Could it be that the Jade Voice Transmission Talisman can be used here? Lu Ming said hurriedly. Of course it can be used. But, Brother Lu, what's the matter? Wu Ming asked. Lu Ming's face darkened and a look of worry flashed in his eyes. Not long after he entered, he sent a voice transmission to Qiuyu. However, the voice transmission Jade Talisman could not be used. He thought that the voice transmission Jade Talisman could not be used here. Immediately, Lu Ming took out his voice transmission Jade Talisman and sent a voice transmission to Qiuyu. However, the result was that he still could not send a voice transmission. What's going on? Lu Ming's heart sank and his expression turned uglier. Brother Lu, what's wrong? Wu Ming and the others also noticed that something was amiss and asked, why can't my voice transmission jade talisman be transmitted out? Lu Ming told her about him sending a voice transmission to Qiuyu. It can't be spread? Brother Lu, pass it on to me. Wu Ming said. Lu Ming quickly sent a voice transmission to Wu Ming. However, it was unimpeded. Lu Ming's expression turned even uglier. Could it be that something had really happened to Qiuyu? Lu Ming clenched his fists tightly. Brother Lu, you don't have to worry. In Star Moon Ancient City, voice transmission is indeed suppressed. If the distance is too far, it's normal that the voice can't be transmitted out. Furthermore, if Lady Qiuyu is in some isolated place, it's possible that she can't get out. Wu Zixiong consoled Lu Ming. Chapter 2998 Stunning Beauty. Please continue reading on Oxful. Omicronym. Wu Zixiong consoled Lu Ming, but Lu Ming's heart was still heavy and he was worried. I hope Qiuyu is blessed by the heavens. Lu Ming could only comfort himself in this way. Brothers Wu, if you meet Qiuyu in the future, can you help me look after her? Lu Ming said. Brother Lu, you're being too polite. I'll definitely find some friends to ask around for Lady Qiu's whereabouts. Wu Zixiong said. Thank you, Brother Wu. Lu Ming cupped his fists. By the way, Brother Lu, where are you going next? Wu Zixiong asked again. I've heard that there are some forbidden areas in Star Moon Ancient City. One of them is the land of extreme coldness, and there are extreme cold treasures there. I want to try my luck there. Lu Ming said. Go to the forbidden area? Wu Zixiong's expression slightly congealed, saying, Brother Lu, some of the forbidden areas in Star Moon Ancient City are very dangerous. If you want to go, you must be careful. Thank you, Brother Wu. I will be careful. Lu Ming said with a smile. Brother Lu, keep going north and you'll find the frigid forbidden land. I have a simple map here. You might need it. With that, Wu Zixiong took out a map and passed it to Lu Ming. A map? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He opened it and took a look. There were some circuits and some special places that were all marked. To the north from here, there was a forbidden area known as the Cold Nether Forbidden Area. It was filled with cold nether chi and was extremely dangerous. This map was drawn by the Wu clan's geniuses when they entered Star Moon City. It's relatively simple, but it can be used. Wu Zixiong said. You gave me the map, then you guys... Lu Ming hesitated. We naturally have a backup. Wu Zixiong laughed. Lu Ming patted his head. He was worried about Qiuyu and was a little distracted. He was really confused. Of course, the Wu family had a backup of such a map. Lu Ming, I'll take my leave then. See you another day. Lu Ming cupped his fists. Take care. Wu Ming and the others also cupped their fists. Then, Lu Ming turned and left, heading north. A few hours later, Lu Ming found a hidden place. He sat cross-legged and consumed a divine healing pill to start healing. Previously, he had taken a blow from the Qin clan's heaven's favorite and was heavily injured. After a few days, Lu Ming had recovered to his peak state. He then left the place and continued to head north. Star Moon Ancient City was like a world. It was huge and boundless. Lu Ming flew for a few days before he finally arrived at his destination, the Cold Nether Forbidden Grounds. The Cold Nether Forbidden Ground was filled with the chi of the Cold Nether, which was extremely and cold. It was said that someone had once obtained a treasure of extreme and extreme cold from the Cold Nether Forbidden Grounds. Lu Ming was looking for such a treasure to speed up the refinement of the star core and to fill up the 5 types of divine-grade divine energy in his body as soon as possible. Then he would break through to the next realm. Looking from afar, not even a blade of grass grew in the Cold Nether Forbidden Grounds, and there was a gray mist floating in the air. This gray mist was the chi of the Cold Nether. Buzz. At this moment, a stream of light flew over from not far away. The next moment, the light faded and a figure appeared in the sky. It was a woman. She was tall and had perfect curves. Her skin was as white as snow, and she had a peerless face. What a beautiful woman! Even though Lu Ming had seen all kinds of beautiful women, including Xian Yanqing and Qiuyu, He could not help but admire them. This woman's beauty was not inferior to Qiu Yu, Xian Yanqing, Xian Yanjuan, and the others. At this moment, the absolute beauty also saw Lu Ming. "It's you? You are Lu Ming?" The absolute beauty spoke. Her voice was clear and pleasant to the ears, but it was filled with a faint coldness. "That's right, I'm Lu Ming." Lu Ming nodded. "Very good." The absolute beauty nodded, and a cold, killing intent suddenly emanated from her body. "Then go to hell." The absolute beauty shouted as she took a step forward and charged at Lu Ming. At the same time, a terrifying sword light burst out from her hand and slashed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming cursed. He did not expect that this beautiful woman would suddenly attack him. However, Lu Ming was already on his guard when he sensed the killing intent from the absolute beauty. As soon as she made her move, Lu Ming activated the battle character formula that increased his combat power by 4 times. Lu Ming waved his long spear and swept it out. Clang! The sword light slashed at Lu Ming's long spear, causing it to shake violently. Wisps of terrifying sword intent passed through the long spear and rushed toward Lu Ming. Sword slashes appeared on Lu Ming's arm, and blood was flowing out. As for Lu Ming himself, he retreated rapidly into the cold nether forbidden grounds. As soon as he entered the cold nether forbidden grounds and came into contact with the cold nether energy, a chill instantly spread through Lu Ming's body, causing him to shiver. With a single thought, 9 ice chains flew out and wrapped around Lu Ming's body, blocking the chill in the surroundings. This woman has such shocking strength. Lu Ming's gaze was fixed on the beautiful woman. This woman's cultivation was at least a half-step divine king. As for the extent of her awakened divine power, Lu Ming had no idea. However, Lu Ming was certain that this lattice abilities were definitely above the 2 half-step divine king geniuses of the Qin clan. "I don't know you, why do you want to kill me? Did the Jin family or the Qin family send you?" Lu Ming said coldly. He didn't know this woman at all, but she wanted to kill him the moment they met. There was only one explanation, and that was that the Jin and Qin families had asked her to kill him, just like the big-nosed young man from before. "What Jin and Qin clan? It has nothing to do with me. I want to kill you." The absolute beauty said coldly. The aura on her body grew stronger. She took a step forward and rushed into the land of the cold nether. Another sword light burst out and slashed at Lu Ming. "Ancient God Body! Ancient God Body!" Lu Ming roared. He activated his ancient god body and turned into a green-armored ancient god. He waved his spear and a crescent-shaped spear light slashed out, blocking the opponent's attack. "You have some strength." The absolute beauty clearly did not expect Lu Ming to be able to block her attack. She was slightly stunned and her gaze turned even colder. Boom! A terrifying aura rushed out of the beautiful woman's body. It was filled with an ancient aura. This is the origin divine power factor. This B** teach has awakened the origin divine power factor. Lu Ming was really shocked. A half-step divine king who had awakened the origin divine power factor would be able to pass through the heaven gate. Previously, there were a total of 4 people from the universal camp who had revealed their cultivation base. Now, it seemed like there was someone who had hidden her cultivation base and strength, and that person was this woman. Or perhaps, this woman had entered Star Moon Ancient City after Lu Ming had. No matter what, this level of ability was definitely not something that Lu Ming could withstand. The difference in combat strength was too great. "Let's go!" Without thinking, Lu Ming turned and left, rushing toward the depths of the land of the cold nether. Chapter 3000 Crazy Woman. Please continue reading on Oxful. Omicronym. Lu Ming rushed into the cold nether forbidden ground, hoping to use the cold air in the forbidden ground to shake off the beautiful woman. However, the absolute Bowtie's killing intent towards him was very strong, and she had no intention of letting him go. "Lu Ming, die!" The absolute beauty shouted. In a flash, she also rushed into the land of the cold nether and chased after Lu Ming. However, after the beautiful woman entered the land of cold nether, her body paused slightly, and her speed slowed down slightly. The chi of the cold nether will affect him. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The Hades chi was extremely cold and the temperature was extremely low. Lu Ming was able to withstand the Hades chi without being affected because he had cultivated the lunar divine technique and had the lunar divine energy in his body. However, the divine power that the beautiful woman cultivated clearly had nothing to do with cold power, so she needed to circulate divine power to block the cold energy. Her speed was naturally affected. Even so, the absolute bowtie speed was still faster than Lu Ming's. The distance between them was constantly closing. You can't escape. The beautiful woman's eyes were filled with murderous intent. She looked as if she could not wait to cut Lu Ming into 8 pieces. What benefits did the Jin and Qin families give you to kill me? I can give you double the benefits. Lu Ming roared. What bullsh** T Jin and Qin families? What right do they have to ask me to kill you? The absolute beauty said coldly. Not the Jin and Qin families? Which force was it? Is it the force that has been colluding with the Dark Ice Clan? Lu Ming's heart suddenly moved and he immediately shouted, I know who you are. The person behind you has colluded with the Dark Ice Clan to steal the 9 absolute divine crystal. How dare you? This is a crime that will result in your entire family being exterminated. Lu Ming roared loudly, trying to scare the other party. Nonsense. If I want to kill you, it has nothing to do with anyone else. The absolute beauty sneered coldly and slashed out a beam of sword chi, almost hitting Lu Ming. Lu Ming was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. It has nothing to do with anyone else, and you want to kill me? This time, Lu Ming was really dumbfounded. When did he offend this crazy woman? Young lady, if I remember correctly, I have never offended you. Could it be that I was drunk and did you? No, if you really have me, why don't I feel anything? Lu Ming shouted and was even more puzzled. Pervert die. Hearing Lu Ming's words, the absolute beauty was even more furious. She shouted and a few sword lights slashed at Lu Ming's face. Lu Ming hurriedly cast the 9 heavenly Kuan Peng technique to dodge, but his shoulder was still grazed by a sword gleam. The green scales were cut open and blood flowed out. Lu Ming was so frightened that he shivered. His opponent was a half-step divine king and had awakened the origin divine power factor. His attack was terrifyingly sharp and his green scale armor could not block it at all. How did I become a perverted bandit again? Lu Ming was shocked and furious. If not for the fact that he was not the other party's match, he would definitely take the other party down and let him know what a perverted bandit was. But now, Lu Ming could only run for his life. He specifically ran towards places with dense frosty chi and used the 9 heavenly Kuan Peng technique to the extreme. Even so, it was still very dangerous, and not long after, several wounds appeared on his body. This crazy woman, why is she chasing me? Lu Ming was really speechless. His eyes were flashing with ruthlessness. He was thinking quickly in his heart, trying to come up with a plan to kill the other party. Lu Ming would not show mercy just because the other party was a beautiful woman. Rustle, rustle. At this moment, Lu Ming heard a rustling sound in front of him. There's living being here. Lu Ming was not shocked. Instead, he was happy. The appearance of living creatures at this moment was beneficial to Lu Ming. Buzz. Lu Ming's figure flashed and he rushed towards the source of the sound. Not long after, a huge creature appeared in front of Lu Ming. It was a huge, snow-white centipede that was at least 100 meters long. It crawled on the mountain. At that moment, the giant centipede pounced at Lu Ming the moment it saw him. CSI. Before the giant centipede even reached him, it opened its mouth and spat out a thick gray mist. At the same time, a terrifying chill gushed toward Lu Ming. Even Lu Ming's body stiffened. It was also the frosty chi, but the temperature was even lower. It was as if the space had frozen. Lu Ming circulated the divine power of the moon with all his might. At the same time, he used the 9 ice chains to protect himself and blocked the invasion of the cold air. At the same time, Lu Ming dodged the giant centipede's attack in a flash. However, the giant centipede twisted its body and its row of sharp claws slashed at Lu Ming like a divine knife. Lu Ming was shocked and raised his spear to block it. Clang. Lu Ming's body shook violently and he was sent flying. However, at this time, the beautiful woman had also caught up. She was also enveloped by the giant centipede's cold air. Her body stiffened, and her speed suddenly decreased. However, she had awakened the origin divine power factor. She circulated her divine power and still blocked the attack of the cold air. Buzz! The giant centipede had forced Lu Ming to retreat with one attack. When it saw the beautiful woman, it immediately let out a screech. Its body bounced and it charged at the beautiful woman again. Get lost! The absolute beauty was very domineering. Sword light burst out and cut the giant centipede's body. The giant centipede was powerful, it was a half-step divine king. With the armor it was wearing, it had a strong defense. However, it still couldn't withstand the attack from the beautiful woman. The sword light cut through the centipede's armor and left a deep wound. This crazy woman's strength is amazing. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. If such an attack landed on him, he would probably be cut in half. CSI. The giant centipede was injured and seemed to have fallen into a state of fury. It screamed crazily and made a sharp sound. It kept spewing out terrifying cold air towards the beautiful woman. The giant centipede only had eyes for the beautiful woman. It could not be bothered with Lu Ming. Wherever the cold air passed, even the cold nether energy floating in the air was frozen. It was clear how terrifying the cold air was. The absolute beauty had to concentrate on defending. At the same time, she slashed out sword lights towards the giant centipede. The two of them started fighting. How could Lu Ming miss such an opportunity? He executed the 9 heavenly Kunpeng technique to the extreme, transformed into a Kunpeng, and left the place in a flash. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming had gone far away. I've finally gotten rid of this crazy woman. Who is this crazy woman? Did the Qin and Jin families send people to kill me, or did they collude with the Dark Ice clan to kill me? Lu Ming guessed in his heart. Not long after, Lu Ming was hundreds of thousands of miles deep into the land of the cold nether. The Hellfrost chi here was getting thicker and thicker. Occasionally, Lu Ming would discover some living creatures. However, these living beings were all extremely terrifying. The weakest of them was a 9th-level heavenly god, while the majority of them were half-step divine kings. A fist larger than a mountain came crashing toward Lu Ming, bringing with it a terrifying gust of wind. Retreat, retreat. Lu Ming did not dare to take it head-on and retreated rapidly. However, the opponent's fist force was too powerful. The air kept exploding and Lu Ming's speed was greatly affected. There was no other way. In the end, Lu Ming could only take it head-on. Star explosion. Lu Ming cast his strongest move. A huge spear ray burst out and stabbed at the giant ape. When the spear's radiance was about to approach the giant ape, it exploded with a loud bang. Boom. The force spread in all directions, but Lu Ming felt a terrifying force surging towards him. Lu Ming's body trembled and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Retreat. Lu Ming made use of this force to retreat rapidly. Coupled with the speed of the 9 heavenly Kunpeng technique, he retreated tens of thousands of miles in an instant. Then, Lu Ming turned around and dashed backward rapidly. The giant ape roared angrily and chased after Lu Ming. This giant ape has such terrifying strength. I'm afraid that it has also awakened a power similar to the origin divine power factor in its body. Lu Ming pondered. The living beings now could be considered the descendants of the original gods. More or less, they all had a trace of the bloodline of the original gods. It was the same even for those wild beasts and divine beasts. Therefore, many dire beasts and vicious beasts would awaken powers similar to the origin divine power factor, which was very terrifying. It was obvious that this giant ape had awakened a similar power. Its abilities were very shocking. Lu Ming was no match for it at all. He was not its match even when he used the supernova and was injured in an instant. Lu Ming transformed into a Kunpeng and flew at high speed. However, the giant ape's speed was extremely shocking and it chased closely after Lu Ming. Very quickly, a few minutes passed. Suddenly, Lu Ming saw a sword light coming at him at high speed. It's her? Lu Ming's gaze flickered. The owner of the sword gleam was the beautiful woman who had chased after Lu Ming previously. Seeing this woman, Lu Ming was not shocked. Instead, he was overjoyed. Without thinking, he immediately rushed toward the beautiful woman. At the next moment, the absolute beauty also saw Lu Ming. When she saw Lu Ming rushing toward her instead, she could not help but be stunned. She did not quite understand why Lu Ming suddenly rushed toward her. However, she immediately understood. It was because she saw the giant ape. She understood that Lu Ming wanted to use her to fight against the giant ape. However, was this possible? The beautiful woman's eyes were filled with cold light. She was about to make a move when she and the giant ape attacked from the front and back, killing Lu Ming. "Honey, it's great that you're here. Let's kill that giant ape together," Lu Ming shouted. "What?" The absolute beauty was stunned again. The next moment, she reacted and screamed, "You, shameless!" However, Lu Ming was already not far away from the absolute beauty. "What?" The giant ape roared. It stretched out a huge palm and grabbed at the ground. A huge ice mountain was conjured. With a wave of its hand, the huge ice mountain smashed towards Lu Ming, shrouding the beautiful woman within. "Honey, help!" Lu Ming shouted and dodged to the left and right, avoiding the iceberg. This was Lu Ming's plan. This giant ape had such a high cultivation level, so it must be very intelligent. It would definitely be able to understand what they were saying. Therefore, when Lu Ming called out, "Wife," the giant ape would definitely mistake the beautiful woman for Lu Ming's gang. Naturally, its attack would also envelop the beautiful woman. Obviously, Lu Ming's plan had succeeded. Being enveloped by the ice mountain, the absolute beauty could only fight back. A bright sword light burst out and cut the ice mountain in half. "This crazy woman is really powerful," Lu Ming thought to himself. Just now, he had experienced the terror of the giant ape. However, the absolute beauty had split the ice mountain with a single sword strike. Her strength was shocking. The giant ape's gaze also turned to the absolute beauty. The absolute beauty gave it a strong pressure, making it instinctively feel a trace of danger. Therefore, the giant ape roared and pounced on the beautiful woman, leaving Lu Ming behind. To it, Lu Ming was not dangerous. On the contrary, the beautiful woman was. Of course, it had to eliminate the danger first. The mountain-like fist was aimed at the beautiful woman, and she could only counterattack. Buzz! The sound of the sword resounded through the 9 heavens as a glass-like sword light, over 10,000 meters long, slashed towards the giant ape. Boom! Boom! The two of them engaged in a great battle. The entire place was in chaos and razed to the ground. Supreme Cold Treasure. Please continue reading on Oxville. Omicronim. Good Lord, this strength is even stronger than the Night Demon King. Lu Ming was speechless as he watched the battle between the absolute beauty and the giant ape. Both the absolute beauty and the giant ape had yet to reach the Divine King realm, but their battle prowess was definitely at the Divine King realm. An ordinary one-stage Divine King like the Night Demon King was most likely not that powerful. This was a heaven's favorite who could fight across a large realm. "Wife, help your husband block this beast first. Your husband will go and find someone to help." Naturally, Lu Ming would not miss such a good opportunity. After leaving behind those words, he disappeared in a flash. "Despicable, shameless, you're courting death," the beautiful woman shouted angrily. She was so angry that she almost vomited blood. Her beautiful face was flushed red. She secretly swore that the next time she saw Lu Ming, she would definitely cut him into pieces to vent her hatred. At the thought that Lu Ming actually called her his wife, she gnashed her teeth in hatred. Could it be that this guy knows? Impossible. Even if I knew, I would still kill him. The absolute beauty gritted her teeth and focused on dealing with the giant ape in front of her. Lu Ming was running at full speed. It did not take long for him to transform into his human form. He had been using the ancient god body all this while, and it was very draining on him. After transforming into his human form, Lu Ming flew for a while and found a hidden ice cave. He flew in. After taking a closer look, he realized that there were no other living beings in the ice cave. Lu Ming moved a piece of ice and blocked the ice cave. Then he sat cross-legged and circulated the universe 1000 Tao scripture to recover. After a few days, Lu Ming's divine power and physical strength had recovered to their peak. It's a pity that Qiu can't come in here. Otherwise, I wouldn't be in such a sorry state. Lu Ming sighed. No one below the God King level could enter Star Moon Ancient City. Qiu was a metallic life form, so it naturally couldn't enter either. Otherwise, with Qiu's strength, it could easily suppress existences like the Absolute Beauty and the Giant Ape. I must quickly find the treasure of Jihan and improve my strength. Lu Ming secretly gritted his teeth. During this period of time, he was repeatedly hunted down, and he really had a stomach full of pent-up anger. He got up and left the ice cave. Lu Ming continued to venture deeper into the nether cold land. Lu Ming, the cold qi is extremely dense in the 8,000-mile area ahead. There might be a treasure of extreme cold. The voice of the quantity formula sounded. The quantity formula was extremely sensitive to energy fluctuations. Lu Ming asked the quantity formula to help him search for treasures with cold energy. 8,000 miles ahead. Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he flew forward. Not long after, an ice lake appeared in front of them. This ice lake wasn't big, but the cold air was shockingly dense. It was many times denser than other places. Lu Ming, the source of the cold qi, is under the lake. However, I'm afraid that there's a creature guarding the lake. The quantity formula said. There's a living creature guarding it. What's its cultivation level? Lu Ming asked. I don't know about this. You can go down and find it yourself. The quantity formula said. Lu Ming was speechless. In the end, he still decided to take a look. Since he had already come this far, it would be a pity if he didn't explore. With a plop, Lu Ming rushed into the ice lake. Not long after, voila! The frozen lake churned violently, stirring up thousands of waves. A white python could be seen rolling in the middle. At the same time, rays of spear light burst out from the ice lake. They were extremely bright. A few moments passed. Buzz! A figure dashed out of the frozen lake. It was Lu Ming. After Lu Ming rushed out, he cast the 9 Heavenly Kunpeng technique and transformed into a 9 Heavenly Kunpeng, leaving the place at great speed. While a 1,000-meter-long python rushed out of the ice lake. It looked up to the sky and roared, but it didn't pursue in the end. It swam around the ice lake for a while before returning to the lake. 10,000 miles away from the frozen lake, Lu Ming sat on an ice seal. He opened his palm and there was a crystal-like stone the size of a dragon's eye on it. It exuded a shocking cold air. This was the treasure that Lu Ming had brought out from the ice lake. Old Liang, how is this ice jade crystal? How much energy can it help you refine from the star core? Lu Ming asked in anticipation. Not much. The quantity formula only had 2 words. Not much. Lu Ming was a little disappointed. Although this ice jade crystal is a treasure of the extreme cold attribute, it's still not as good as the ice jade heart or the ball of cold liquid you obtained before. It's only stronger than the cold moon stone, and it's too small. The quantity formula explained. It seems that I have to continue looking for it. Forget it, you can absorb this ice jade crystal first. I will continue to look for other cold attribute treasures. Lu Ming said. He then let the quantity formula absorb the ice jade crystal. For the next half a month, Lu Ming went around the cold nether forbidden grounds in search of supreme cold treasures. He found a total of 3, but unfortunately, they weren't of particularly high level. They were all treasures of the same level as the ice jade crystal, but it was better than nothing. One day, Lu Ming was walking in an ice valley. You are not qualified to kill him. Please continue reading on Oxful. Omicronym. There were a total of 5 people on the other side. There was no need for all 5 of them to work together to attract the desolate beasts. As long as a few of them attracted the desolate beasts, the other few could easily pick the 9-petal ice lotus. Who would be so foolish to attract the dire beasts together and leave the treasures here? Therefore, Lu Ming knew that the other party was lying after some thought. Sneering coldly, Lu Ming kept the 9-petaled ice lotus in his storage ring. Kid, it seems like you're not going to hand it over? The white-haired youth's eyes were cold, and the coldness on his body became stronger and stronger. The other party clearly also cultivated cold attribute divine grade divine power, so he was not afraid of the cold nether energy here. Since I've already obtained it, how can I hand it over? Lu Ming smiled faintly. Very good, very good. The white-haired youth nodded. Lu Ming, your talent is not bad. You've crossed the heavenly gates. However, your cultivation is only at the 4th level celestial deity realm. Do you think you can swallow the 9-petal ice lotus in front of us with such a cultivation? After saying that, the white-haired young man's aura completely bloomed. Half-step divine king. The white-haired young man was a half-step divine king. However, Lu Ming could tell at a glance that the other party had not awakened the divine power factor. At the same time, the rest of them moved in a flash and surrounded Lu Ming, each of them exuding a powerful aura. Another half-step divine king. The other 3 were also 9th-level celestial deity existences. However, no one had awakened the origin divine power factor. The origin divine power factor was not that easy to awaken. There were so many prodigies below the divine king realm in the Star Battalion, but only 4 of them had passed the heavenly gate. Including the beautiful lady, there were only 5 of them. Naturally, he wouldn't encounter a person who had awakened the origin divine power factor. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes slightly. He was not afraid. As long as he had not awakened the divine power factor, Lu Ming was not afraid of even a half-step divine king. Even if he could not defeat them, he could still escape. Lu Ming, I've given you a chance just now, but you didn't cherish it. Now, not only will you hand over the 9-petaled ice lotus, but you'll also have to hand over everything else you have. Also, open up your Dantian and Sea of Consciousness. Let us search. We can consider sparing your life. The white-haired youth spoke again, his eyes flashing with greed. He thought of how Lu Ming was able to cross the heavenly gates with just a 4th-level celestial deity. He must have had a great opportunity on him. Now, not only did he want the 9-petaled ice lotus, but he also wanted the opportunity on Lu Ming. He even had an even more vicious plan in mind. He planned to wait for Lu Ming to hand over all the treasures before crippling his cultivation and imprisoning him. He would then slowly dig out all the secrets on Lu Ming. At the thought of being able to obtain Lu Ming's secret and rise to the top, his heart burned with passion. It seems that you are quite ambitious. Lu Ming sneered coldly and was ready to find an opening to escape. However, at this moment, Lu Ming's expression changed, and he looked at the sky. In the sky, a sword light appeared, and then the figure of a beautiful woman appeared. Lu Ming's face turned bitter. If this wasn't that absolute beauty, who could it be? Enemies really meet on a narrow road, meeting again. Lu Ming's mouth was full of bitterness. He had just been surrounded by the white-haired young man and the rest, and now there was a beautiful woman. This situation was not good for Lu Ming. He was confident that he could get rid of the white-haired young man and the others, but with the addition of the absolute beauty, he had no way to escape. We're in trouble. Lu Ming mumbled. Of course, he would not give up. His mind whirred as he tried to find a way to escape. What a beautiful woman! When the white-haired youth and the others saw the beautiful woman, they couldn't help but be stunned. You guys get lost. The absolute Bowtie's gaze swept across the white-haired young man and the others as she coldly shouted. His words made the white-haired young man and the others' faces turn ugly. It seems that you and this kid are in cahoots. Little girl, I'm afraid that you alone won't be enough to save him. The white-haired youth sneered. Who's going to save him? I'm going to kill him. The absolute beauty said coldly. Kill him. This time, the white-haired youth and the others were stunned again. They initially thought that the absolute beauty was here to save Lu Ming. They did not expect that she was here to kill him. Miss, you're here to kill him? Huh, it seems like we're on the same side. This brat stole our treasure, so we have to kill him too. Why don't I kill this brat on your behalf? I don't want him to dirty your hands. The white-haired youth laughed. The moment he heard that the absolute beauty was also here to kill Lu Ming, the white-haired young man immediately changed his attitude. He looked as if he wanted to get closer to the absolute beauty. If he wants to die, he can only die in my hands. Are you not qualified to kill him? However, the absolute beauty clearly didn't appreciate it and continued to speak coldly. Lu Ming was also stunned. He couldn't figure out the tricks of this beautiful woman at all. Since she wanted to kill Lu Ming, what was the difference between her killing him and the others killing him? Why must Lu Ming die in her hands? It's because you have a wife. Please continue reading on Oxful. Omicronim. The white-haired youth screamed in fear and retreated. Still not getting lost. The absolute beauty shouted coldly. She didn't attack immediately, but her aura became stronger. Alright, let's go, let's go. The white-haired youth said. Although he was extremely unhappy, he didn't dare to fight the absolute beauty, even though there were 5 of them and he was a half-step divine king. As half-step divine kings, there was a huge difference between those who had awakened the origin divine power factor and those who had. Even if the 5 of them worked together, they would not be a match for the absolute beauty. Therefore, even though he was furious, he could only grit his teeth and avoid it. Wait a moment. At this moment, Lu Ming called out to the white-haired young man and the rest. What are you doing? The white-haired young man looked at Lu Ming. Brothers, don't leave. Help me deal with this crazy woman. As long as you help me, I'll give you all the treasures I have. Lu Ming smiled. All the treasures? The white-haired young man and the others were stunned for a moment, and a trace of fire flashed in their eyes. They were indeed tempted by the treasures on Lu Ming. However, when their gazes fell on the absolute beauty, they hesitated. Dealing with the absolute beauty would be life-threatening. The white-haired youth's eyes turned, and he finally decided to give up. Although the treasure was important, how could it be more important than his own life? Therefore, the white-haired young man decided to refuse. However, the absolute beauty didn't give him the chance. If you still want to join forces against me, then I'll kill you all as well. Die. The beautiful woman shouted coldly. She brandished her sword, shooting out beams of sword light. The sword light enveloped Lu Ming, the white-haired young man, and the others. What are you doing? Damn it, you crazy woman, the white-haired young man roared. He opened his mouth and let out a long roar. His body expanded rapidly and actually turned into a huge white lion. This was the divine beast, the snow lion. Not only him, but the other young men also transformed into snow lions. It turned out that the white-haired young man and the others were not humans, but the family of the frost lion, a divine beast. They transformed into their true forms and unleashed their full strength. They opened their mouths and roared, sending out waves of icy air currents that attacked the absolute beauty. The white-haired young man was furious. He had planned to retreat, but the absolute beauty suddenly attacked him. He could only defend with all his strength. Boom, boom. The area was constantly exploding, and the force was overflowing. This is good opportunity. Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he transformed into his ancient god body. Star explosion. Lu Ming thrust his spear forward. A ray of spear light rushed toward the beautiful woman and exploded, colliding with the beautiful woman's sword light in a terrifying manner. With the help of this force, Lu Ming's body retreated rapidly. He then cast the 9 heavenly Kuan Prung technique and charged forward madly. This woman's brain is indeed not very good. The moment he rushed out, such a thought flashed across Lu Ming's mind. In fact, through the previous few times, Lu Ming realized that although the absolute beauty was powerful and had amazing talents, she did not have many schemes and thoughts. To put it bluntly, it was pure. Yes, she was pure. Not only pure, but also proud. That was why she fell for their tricks time and time again. Just now, Lu Ming had only pretended to invite the white-haired young man and the rest to attack together. The absolute beauty attacked them without thinking. The main reason was that he was simple-minded and thought that the white-haired youth and the others would really attack. The other reason was her pride. She was very confident in her own strength and believed that she could deal with the white-haired young man and the others. Lu Ming had seized the opportunity. Pervert, die. Seeing that Lu Ming had run away again, the absolute beauty was furious. She abandoned the white-haired young man and the others and chased after Lu Ming. One chasing and one escaping, they disappeared in the blink of an eye, leaving the white-haired young man and the others looking at each other. Who is this crazy woman? Why haven't I seen him before? To think that there's such a beautiful and talented person in the Universal Camp. Looks like you'll have to pay more attention to her in the future. There must be a secret on Lu Ming. Otherwise, the Jin and Qin families wouldn't want to kill him. I hope that he's lucky and doesn't die in the hands of that woman. He won't be so lucky the next time he meets us. The white-haired youth and the others chatted for a while before leaving. Lu Ming circulated the 9 heavenly Kunpeng technique to the extreme. His divine power boiled and condensed into a Kunpeng. The Kunpeng's wings flapped rapidly. With every flap, Lu Ming flew hundreds of miles away. However, the absolute beauty was even faster. She transformed into a sword light and streaked through the air. Her speed was even faster than Lu Ming's. This was also due to the presence of the cold nether energy. Otherwise, the absolute bowtie's speed would be even more astonishing and Lu Ming would not be able to escape. Lu Ming, don't even think about using the dire beast to get rid of me this time. I won't be fooled again. The absolute beauty shouted. At the thought of how Lu Ming had escaped time and time again, she was very upset and her killing intent grew stronger. Beauty, beauty, why do you have to chase me? I have a wife. Lu Ming shouted. It's because you have a wife, you deserve to die even more. The absolute beauty said coldly. Lu Ming almost vomited blood. He staggered and almost fell. What do you mean you deserve to die more because you have a wife? Why did her words sound like she was jealous? However, Lu Ming had never seen this woman before. Beauty, are you secretly in love with me, but you found out that I have a wife, so you can't have me, so you want to kill me? You can't have such a thought, it's too perverted. Lu Ming shouted. Nonsense, who likes you? Don't think too much. The absolute bowtie's expression turned even colder. Then why do you still want to chase me? Why do you have to kill me? Lu Ming was really speechless. I'm going to kill you. Why do I have so many reasons? The absolute beauty shouted and a sword light slashed out. Lu Ming dodged it by a hair's breadth and was almost seriously injured. This woman really wanted to kill him. She wasn't just saying it. She didn't show any mercy. Lu Ming was completely confused now. Even with his intelligence, he could not guess the purpose of the beautiful woman. If she had been sent by the Jin and Qin families, or by forces that had colluded with the Dark Ice clan, the beautiful woman would not have saved Lu Ming when the white-haired young man and the others wanted to kill him. What was the difference between her killing herself and being killed? However, the absolute beauty wanted to chase away the white-haired young man and the rest and kill Lu Ming with her own hands. No matter how she looked at it, she looked like a resentful wife who had been let down. Beauty, did you get the wrong person? In the end, Lu Ming shouted helplessly. I won't be mistaken. Your name is Lu Ming and you came from the Qin Heaven Star system. The person I want to kill is you. The absolute beauty said coldly. Lu Ming was speechless. He could only fly at full speed. A supreme cold treasure? Please continue reading on Oxful. Omicronym. Suddenly, Lu Ming's body trembled slightly. He circulated his divine energy and the 9th heaven Kunpeng that he had condensed became more solid. At this critical moment, the 9 heavenly Kunpeng technique actually broke through and reached the 8th level. Originally, Lu Ming had cultivated the incomplete 9 heavenly Kunpeng technique to the peak of the 7th stage. Later on, he obtained the complete version of the 9 heavenly Kunpeng technique. After cultivating it for a period of time, he was able to achieve a breakthrough naturally under the high concentration he had. The moment he broke through to the 8th level of the 9 heavenly Kunpeng technique, Lu Ming's speed had increased greatly. The Kunpeng flapped its wings and Lu Ming's speed increased rapidly, covering 1,000 miles in an instant. In an instant, Lu Ming's speed was not any slower than the absolute beauty. I've broken through. The absolute bowtie's eyes narrowed. Divine power surged wildly, turning into a beam of sword light. She moved forward like lightning, but she could not catch up with Lu Ming. The two of them maintained a certain distance. Lu Ming secretly heaved a sigh of relief. The two of them flew deeper and deeper into the dark frost-forbidden grounds. However, the absolute beauty continued to pursue Lu Ming. This crazy woman, what kind of deep hatred do I have with her? Being chased, Lu Ming was furious. He couldn't continue like this. Although he had the quantity formula, which had an endless supply of Shin power and could maintain it for a long time, if this continued, he wouldn't have time to find the cold treasures. He would be delayed. Lu Ming, there's an extremely strong fluctuation of cold energy ahead. Suddenly, the voice of the quantity formula sounded. The fluctuation of the ultimate cold energy? Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he continued flying. After flying for a while, the coldness in front of them became even more intense. The cold chi was pressing and the cold chi was like mist. In the distance, Lu Ming saw an underground crack. It was huge, hundreds of miles long and dozens of miles wide. The dense cold nether energy was coming from the underground crack. There it is. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Lu Ming thought of a plan that might be able to get rid of the beautiful woman. The frosty chi in the underground crack was so dense that it would be a good use to get rid of the beautiful woman. Buzz! Lu Ming rushed toward the underground crack. The underground crack was huge. Even though Lu Ming had transformed into an ancient god, he was still very small and he could easily rush in. The absolute Bowtie's expression changed slightly when she saw Lu Ming rushing into the underground crack. Don't even think about escaping. In the end, the absolute beauty gritted her teeth and also rushed in. The underground crack was huge. The deeper it went, the wider it became. However, the cold air also became stronger. Very soon, Lu Ming arrived at the bottom. The cold air here was already very shocking. Lu Ming circulated the divine power of the moon with all his might. With the protection of the ice chains, he was able to block the attack of the cold air. Buzz! The sound of a sword rang out as a sword light rapidly approached from above. This woman really won't let me off. Lu Ming's face darkened and he rushed forward. The ground beneath the crack was like a large canyon. Lu Ming, yes, it's right in front. I can feel an incomparably dense cold chi. There must be some cold treasures here. It can even refine the energy of many stars, cores. The quantity formula kept tempting Lu Ming. Lu Ming ran at a high speed and soon he reached the end. At the end, there was a huge black cave, from which cold nether energy was constantly flowing out. Lu Ming rushed in without any hesitation. Not long after, the beautiful woman followed suit. There was a passage in the cave. Lu Ming ran for thousands of miles and his eyes suddenly opened up. This was a huge underground space. The surrounding walls were embedded with snow-white gemstones that constantly emitted a chill. At a glance, there were no less than a few hundred of them emitting a hazy glow. Could these be supreme cold treasures? No, the quality of these gemstones is much worse. Lu Ming frowned. Although these gemstones exuded extreme coldness, their quality was not high. They were probably much worse than the cold jade stone. However, if he sold it to those who cultivated cold attribute Shin power, it should be worth a lot of Shin crystals. However, Lu Ming was a little disappointed. This was not what he wanted. That's not right. I can feel that there's an extremely high-quality treasure of extreme cold in this area. There's no mistake. Let me sense it. The quantity formula shouted. At this moment, a sword light flashed, and the absolute beauty chased in. This crazy woman is really here. Lu Ming's expression was somewhat gloomy. However, the coldness here was very strong. The beautiful woman had to set up layers of divine power around her body to block the cold from the outside world. Lu Ming died. As soon as the absolute beauty saw Lu Ming, she was about to charge at him. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, the underground space suddenly started to shake. The surrounding walls started to make rumbling sounds. Bang! Suddenly, the wall on one side burst open, and stone and ice flew everywhere. Then a huge head popped out. Lu Ming was shocked. He did not expect a head to stick out from the wall. This head was not the head of an animal. It was more like a plant's. It was like a tree stump, white and crystal clear, covered with roots. Furthermore, It was extremely huge, at least a few thousand meters in length and width. A cold attribute treasure. Yes, there's a cold attribute treasure in the middle of its brows. The quantity formula shouted. Lu Ming took a closer look. Indeed, there was a silver-white gem embedded on the stump-like head. A terrifying chill was exuded from the silver-white gem. What a shocking coldness. It's no worse than the Ice Jade Cold Heart of the Ice Soul clan. Lu Ming's eyes lit up and his heart was burning. If he could obtain this gem and pass it to the quantity formula, he could use it to neutralize the energy in the core of the star. It would definitely be able to quickly refine some energy for Lu Ming's breakthrough. He wanted to get it. Lu Ming thought to himself. After the stump-like head appeared, it roared and opened its mouth. In the void, hundreds of icicles were instantly condensed and then whizzed toward Lu Ming and the beautiful woman. Break the air, break the air. Lu Ming kept casting the air-piercing move. The spear's gleam burst out one after another to block the attack of the ice thorns. Clang, clang. A series of collision sounds rang out. Lu Ming managed to block the icicles, but his body shook violently and he could not help but retreat. What shocking strength! Lu Ming's eyes were a little solemn. On the other side, the beautiful woman waved her sword and easily blocked the attack of the ice thorns. Seeing that it could not finish off Lu Ming and the beautiful woman with one move, the tree stump head seemed to be furious. It opened its mouth and spewed out white mist, which gushed toward Lu Ming and the beautiful woman. This mist was like an upgraded version of the frost nether chi, and it was filled with a terrifying chill. Wherever the mist passed, ice crystals would appear in the air. It was extremely terrifying. The temperature of the mist was shockingly low. Lu Ming was enveloped in it and he felt that his body was about to freeze. Not only his body, but his soul was also about to be frozen. Suddenly, the ninth ice chain glowed. A layer of silver-white light enveloped Lu Ming and blocked the cold air outside. Then, Lu Ming's body shook and the ice crystals on the surface of his body shattered. Lu Ming continued to attack the vine's head. Seeing that Lu Ming was about to get close to the vine's head, he was about to use the supernova to kill the vine completely. However, at this moment, the rocks around the vine's head exploded and 5 vines rushed out. Each of the 5 vines was crystal clear and exuded a terrifying chill. They lashed out or wrapped around Lu Ming. Not good. Lu Ming's pupils contracted rapidly. It turned out that this vine actually had so many vines. It was simply like an octopus. Previously, he had only used 4 vines to attack Lu Ming and the rest. The other 5 vines were hidden near his head to protect it. Once someone got close, the 5 vines could launch a lightning attack. At that moment, Lu Ming could only try his best to resist. Roar! A dragon's roar was heard. Lu Ming circulated the divine dragon materialization art. 7 divine dragon manifestations appeared and charged toward a vine. At the same time, he brandished his spear and attacked a few vines. Boom! Boom! A series of explosions rang out. The 7 9-clawed divine dragons were instantly destroyed. Lu Ming's body shook violently. His arms were about to explode as he spat out a mouthful of blood. However, out of the 5 vines, Lu Ming could only block 3 of them. There was nothing he could do about the remaining 2. The remaining 2 sets of canes wrapped around Lu Ming. A terrifying chill enveloped Lu Ming's entire body, and he was immediately covered in a layer of ice. Break, break, break! Lu Ming roared. The divine power in his body erupted and he struggled madly, trying to break the vines. However, the vine was extremely tough. Lu Ming exerted all his strength, but not only did it not break, it tightened even more. The green scales on Lu Ming's body were about to break. Then, the vine pulled Lu Ming and stuffed him into its mouth. It was planning to eat him. This is troublesome. There was a trace of panic in Lu Ming's eyes. The current situation was not good. His entire body was entangled and almost frozen. He had no way to resist. Although he had cultivated the moon divine power, his cultivation was still weak. He could not stop the cold from invading. Brat, don't be afraid. Entering its mouth is our chance. We might be able to kill it. At this moment, the measure character said. Enter its mouth and kill it? The coldness in this guy's mouth is extremely terrifying. I'm afraid it'll be frozen to death in an instant if I go in. Lu Ming said. Frozen to death? How is that possible? With this old lady here, how could I let you freeze to death? The unhappy voice of the quantity formula sounded. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. That's right, the chill was actually a type of energy. The quantity formula was known as the source of all energy. It could devour any kind of energy. In that case, it could also devour coldness. As long as the quantity formula was used on Lu Ming's surface and devoured the coldness on his pale face, he would not have to be afraid of that kind of coldness. Boy, it seems that you have thought it through. The reason why I haven't made a move now is that I'm afraid of alerting the snake and making this vine hesitate. If that's the case, it'll really be difficult to kill. The quantity formula said. Alright, then let's give it a shot. There was a hint of ruthlessness in Lu Ming's eyes. He planned to let himself be swallowed by the vine before he launched a lightning-fast attack. But at this moment, something changed. Bush, bush, bush. Streams of sword chi shot out and slashed at the vines that were wrapped around Lu Ming, causing sparks to fly. It was the absolute beauty. She had escaped from the 3 vines and was charging over. Only I can kill Lu Ming. No one else is qualified to kill him, including you, old vine. Die. The absolute beauty shouted. Sword chi filled the air, and her body was covered by a transparent sword light. Her aura was extremely shocking. Divine sword art. The absolute beauty waved her hand and a few hundred sword lights slashed at the vines that wrapped around Lu Ming. However, the vines were shockingly hard and sturdy. Even with the absolute Bowtie's abilities, she could not cut them and could only leave a few white marks on them. A woman's heart is like a needle in the ocean. Please continue reading on Oxful. Omicronim. The absolute Bowtie's actions had angered the vines. The other vines flew over together, whistling through the air as they charged towards the absolute beauty. Bush, bush, bush. With a wave of her hand, the beautiful woman sent out beams of sword light that were as solid as glass. They slashed at the vines and sent them flying. The absolute beauty was very powerful. If they were in the outside world, her strength would not be weaker than the vine. But here, she was affected by the cold nether energy and couldn't use her full strength. You crazy woman, what are you doing? Who needs your help? Lu Ming roared. He was speechless. This crazy woman had wanted to kill him before, but now she wanted to save him. He really couldn't figure out what this woman was thinking. A woman's heart was like a needle at the bottom of the ocean. This woman was the embodiment of it. I've said it before, even if you die, you can only die in my hands. The absolute beauty shouted coldly. She waved her sword, and beams of sword light slashed at the vines wrapped around Lu Ming's body. She wanted to cut the vines apart and save Lu Ming. However, the vines were tough and could not be split open. Woman, are you crazy? I don't want you to save me. Get lost. Lu Ming roared. This woman's actions would ruin his plans. His plan was to rush into the vine's mouth and kill it. If he was rescued, his plan would not be able to proceed. Lu Ming really wanted to curse. However, the absolute Bowtie's face darkened. She could not be bothered with Lu Ming and continued to attack. However, she could not break the vines in the end. Lu Ming was getting closer and closer to the vines. He was almost in her mouth. At this moment, a hint of ruthlessness flashed in the absolute Bowtie's eyes. She suddenly abandoned Lu Ming and rushed toward the head of the vine. She also understood that the only way to save Lu Ming was to attack the vine's head or even kill it. Godly sword art kill? The beautiful woman shouted and slashed at the vine's head. A crystal sword light slashed at the vine. The vine waved a few vines in front of it to block the sword light, but the vines were also swept away. Kill! The absolute beauty continued to approach the vine's head. The vine gate roared and struggled. Its head broke free from the wall. Boom, boom, boom. The huge body of the vine was completely revealed. It had a huge head and 9 thick vines around its body, making it look like an octopus. The vine had completely left the wall and its body was more agile. With a flash, it dodged the attack of the absolute beauty. At the same time, it waved the vine and attacked the absolute beauty. The absolute bowtie's body was covered in a transparent sword light. The vine roared and waved, lashing at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body shrank and returned to his human form. He then executed the 9 heavenly Kuan Peng technique to its maximum and dodged continuously. With his body shrunk, he became more agile and dodged more easily. Coupled with the 8th level of the 9 heavenly Kuan Peng technique, Lu Ming dodged 9 attacks from the vines in a row and rushed towards the head of the vine. When Lu Ming was near the vine's head, the gem on its head glowed again. A white beam of light rushed toward Lu Ming. This was the beam of light that had attacked the beautiful woman earlier. It was shockingly fast and it also had a terrifying chill. Lu Ming wanted to hide but he could not. The absolute beauty didn't dodge it either. The next moment, the white beam of light attacked Lu Ming. At this moment, Lu Ming felt a bone-chilling cold burst out, wanting to freeze him completely. It was not just his physical body, but also his soul. Cold. It was extremely cold. Lu Ming's thoughts seemed to be frozen. This was an extremely terrifying thing. Fortunately, Lu Ming had the measure formula. In his sea of consciousness, the measure formula glowed. A devouring force enveloped Lu Ming's entire body. Immediately, the bone-chilling cold was completely devoured by the measure formula. Lu Ming regained his freedom in an instant. Buzz. Lu Ming increased his speed and in a flash, he was in the mouth of the vine. Lu Ming. Seeing Lu Ming rush into the mouth of the vine, the absolute bowtie's eyes revealed a trace of complicated feelings. He swept his gaze across the area and frowned when he saw the state of the absolute beauty. Should I save him or not? Lu Ming muttered. According to Lu Ming's character, he did not want to save her because this woman had been hunting him down. Since she was an enemy, Lu Ming would definitely not show mercy. However, this woman had saved him twice. Previously he had faced the white-haired youth. Now he was facing the vines. No matter what the other party's purpose was, he had indeed saved him. Especially this time, in order to save him, he had sacrificed himself. Save him. Finally, Lu Ming muttered. He had his own principles. Since the other party had saved him, he had to return the favor. Lu Ming took a step forward and arrived beside the beautiful woman. This woman has been hit by that vine. The cold has already attacked her heart. In at most 10 minutes, she will be completely frozen to death. The quantity formula said. Lu Ming nodded and sized up the beautiful woman carefully. To be honest, this absolute beauty was really beautiful. The clothes on her body were slightly torn by the vines, revealing a large area of her snow-white skin. In addition, he was motionless at the moment and looked like he was at the mercy of others. Lu Ming's heart wavered when he saw this. What are you trying to do? The beautiful woman said nervously, but her voice was weak. What do you think? Lu Ming smiled evilly. This smile made the woman's face turn even paler and filled her with despair. I'll ask you some questions. If you can answer them, I'll consider letting you go. Lu Ming said. What do you want to ask? Go ahead and ask. The absolute beauty said. Why do you want to kill me? And why did you save me? Lu Ming asked. This was what he was most curious about. The absolute beauty gritted her teeth, seemingly unwilling to say. You're not going to tell me, right? If you don't, then don't blame me. Lu Ming smiled evilly and touched the beautiful woman's face. The touch was extremely cold. A terrifying chill rushed toward Lu Ming's palm. Lu Ming circulated his divine power to dispel it. Stop, stop, hivakavuk, the absolute beauty said in a panic. Lu Ming looked at the other party and did not say a word, waiting for him to continue. Because if I don't kill you, I'll marry you. If I don't want to marry you, I'll have to kill you. The absolute beauty said. What? Lu Ming was dumbfounded. He thought that he had heard wrongly. You want to marry me? Beauty, we've never met before. Why do you want to marry me? Lu Ming was really dumbfounded. Are you Prince Jingye's successor? The absolute beauty suddenly said. Lu Ming was so shocked that he almost jumped. How did the other party know that Lu Ming was the successor of Jingyu? He did not tell anyone about this. How did you know? Lu Ming's face darkened and his eyes were filled with killing intent. This matter could not be leaked out. Jingyu had been framed back then, and he had a terrifying enemy in the Great Void Holy Dynasty. If the secret that he was Startled Feather's inheritor were to be revealed, he would most likely be killed. My father told me. The absolute beauty said. Your father? Lu Ming's heart turned cold. Could it be that he had been exposed? My father is in the Universal Camp. When you were fighting with the others in the Universal Camp, my father happened to pass by and he saw through you. The absolute beauty said. Your father? Lu Ming muttered, his mind spinning rapidly. Other than fighting with Frigid Eagle in the Universal Camp, he had not fought at all. Could it be that he had been recognized at that time? Who is your father? How did you recognize me? And what does this have to do with you marrying me? Lu Ming asked a few questions in succession. My father was Prince Jingyu's teacher back then. He followed Prince Jingyu for countless years, so it's only natural that my father would be able to recognize his successor. The absolute beauty said. Jingyu's teacher? Lu Ming was slightly stunned. This was really beyond his expectations. My father is proficient in the art of numerancy. He predicted that Prince Jingyu's successor was about to be born. Furthermore, he swore an oath that he would marry his daughter Mi to the successor of Prince Jingyu. My father believed that Prince Jingyu was framed. He wanted me to help Prince Jingyu's successor find out the truth. The absolute beauty continued. Oriole behind, please continue reading on Oxful. Omicronym. My father wanted me to marry you, but I didn't want to. So, I had to kill you. The beautiful woman's voice turned cold. Lu Ming understood a lot after listening to the absolute Bowtai's words. Her father was Jing Ye's teacher, and he was well versed in the art of divination. He knew that Jing Ye's successor was about to be born, and thus, he wanted his daughter to marry him. It was only when Lu Ming was fighting with Lung Ying at the Universal Camp that the beautiful lad's father saw him and recognized him. It was no wonder that the absolute beauty wanted to kill Lu Ming as soon as she saw him. Since you want to kill me, why did you save me? Lu Ming asked again. Father wants me to marry you and protect you. So you have to die. You can only die in my hands, not in the hands of anyone else. The absolute beauty said. As she said this, her voice became weaker and weaker. This logic is really weird. Lu Ming pursed his lips and was rather speechless. However, according to this logic, it made sense. If that was the case, he had to save this absolute beauty even more. It wasn't because of her beauty, but because she was the daughter of teacher Jingyu. From the looks of it, those who had followed Jingyu back then hadn't been completely suppressed. There were still people alive. In the future, if he were to help Jingyu reverse his verdict, he would still need the help of these people. Lu Ming squatted down and held the beautiful woman's hand. What are you doing? You said that you would let me go if I answered your question. You can't go back on your word. The absolute beauty panicked. She thought that Lu Ming was going to do something to her. What are you panicking for? I'm saving you. Lu Ming smiled faintly and channeled a stream of divine power into the beautiful woman's body. However, the moment the divine power entered the other's body, it was frozen by the terrifying cold air in the other's body. Her body has been completely frozen by the cold air, and it's almost frozen to her heart and brain. If these two places are frozen, she's going to die. The quantity formula said. Can you suck out the cold chi in her body? Lu Ming asked. Of course I can, but I can't expose myself. Put your palm on her palm and it'll draw the cold out of her body. But this way it will be slower. The quantity formula said. If the measure formula appeared directly and the devouring power enveloped the beautiful woman, it would be easy to absorb the cold chi in her body. However, if that were the case, the measure formula would be exposed. The origin ancient word could not be exposed now, or else it would bring a great disaster. It doesn't matter if it's slow, Lu Ming said. Then, his palm and the beautiful woman's palm touched. The beautiful woman's palm had been frozen into ice. "I'm begging you, kill me," the absolute beauty sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming. She would rather die than be humiliated by the white-haired young man. "How unlucky," Lu Ming muttered. He didn't expect that the white-haired young man and the others would come again after he dealt with the vines. Lu Ming could escape from the white-haired young man and the rest. The key was that he had yet to obtain the gem on the vine's head. It would be a pity to leave like this. Moreover, he might not be able to escape safely if he were to leave with the absolute beauty. Lu Ming's eyes darted around and he began to think of countermeasures. "Third brother, let's hurry up and get rid of this brat, lest a long night brings trouble." One of the young men said. "Alright, leave this kid to me. You guys collect the corpse of the Myriad River's ice vine and leave this place after quickly dealing with it." With that, the white-haired young man walked toward Lu Ming, while the other young men walked toward the vines. One of the young men walked up to the vine and tried to use a storage ring to store the vine's body. At this moment, a sudden change occurred. The vines that were originally motionless suddenly moved again. Ooh! A few vines started to dance like snakes and charged towards the young men. This situation was beyond everyone's expectations. The vine clearly had no life left, so why did it suddenly move again? Not only the white-haired young man, but even Lu Ming and the beautiful woman were stunned. Ah! Caught off guard, one of the young men was directly pierced by a vine. Then, with a swing of the vine, he picked up the young man and smashed him heavily onto the ground. Boom! The ground trembled and the young man was killed on the spot. Speed up, please. Continue reading on Oxful. Omicronym. The white-haired young man and the rest were a total of 5 people. The white-haired young man walked towards Lu Ming and the absolute beauty while the other 4 walked towards the Myriad River ice vine. The Myriad River's ice vine suddenly launched an attack and one of the 9th-level celestial deity youths was killed immediately. The other 8 vines danced wildly and attacked the other 3 youths. Bang! Bang! 2 of the young men reacted slightly faster and exploded with attacks to block, but they were still hit by the vines. Their bodies were sent flying and they crashed into the wall, spitting out large mouthfuls of blood. There was another woman who was not so lucky. Her reaction was slightly slower and she was immediately entangled by a vine. The temperature of the vines was shockingly low. As the woman was wrapped by the vines, her body was immediately covered in a layer of ice. The vine pulled the woman toward its big mouth. "Help! Help!" The woman struggled with all her might and screamed. "Release him!" The white-haired young man roared. He took a step forward and rushed toward the Myriad River's ice vine. In the process, he turned into an ice snow lion and roared. A terrifying storm rushed toward the Myriad River's ice vine. Boom! Boom! The white-haired young man's attack landed on the vines of the Myriad River's ice vine, causing a violent vibration. However, the vines of the Myriad River's ice vine were extremely tough, so the white-haired young man's attack couldn't break them at all. The vine was still pulling the woman into the mouth. "Help!" The woman cried out in despair. "Let's attack together!" The white-haired young man roared as he continuously struck out with his sharp claws. His claws were like the blades of a divine blade as he clawed at the vines. Clang! The sharp claws scratched the rattan, making a sound of metal clashing. Sparks flew in all directions, but they could only leave a few marks on the rattan. Even the most beautiful woman couldn't break the vines, so the white-haired young man naturally couldn't either. At this moment, the other 2 young men who had been sent flying by the vines also pounced over. They transformed into ice snow lions and fought with the vines. However, it was of no help. Buzz! The vine wrapped around the woman and threw her into its mouth. The woman's cries suddenly stopped, and there was no sound. The Myriad River's ice vine's mouth was filled with a terrifying chill. The woman was thrown in and naturally couldn't resist it. After devouring the woman, the Myriad river ice vine roared madly. The 9 vines rushed towards the white-haired young man and the other 2 madly. The shadows of the vines covered the sky and enveloped the 3 of them. At this moment, even if the white-haired young man and the other 2 wanted to escape, it would be difficult. They tried to attack a few times but were blocked by the vines. "I'll fight you to the death," the white-haired young man roared and fought with the Myriad river ice vine. "My strength is not as good as before," Lu Ming muttered. He realized that the strength of the Myriad river's ice vine was much weaker than when he was fighting with them. Otherwise, the white-haired young man and the others would have been in danger. But now, the white-haired young man and the other 2 were able to fight against the Myriad river ice vine. "I didn't expect this ice vine to have a secondary core," the quantity formula said. "Subcore?" Lu Ming was puzzled. "That's right. This Myriad river's ice vine has a subcore in addition to its main core. Just now, when you shattered the main core, the Myriad river's ice vine wasn't completely dead. It was awakening its subcore. However, a subcore is a subcore after all. It's far from being comparable to the main core. It seems that this ice vine's spiritual intelligence has been greatly reduced. It has already gone crazy and only knows how to attack. Its strength has also been greatly reduced," the quantity formula explained. Lu Ming understood. He could not help but secretly rejoice in his heart. It turned out that the Myriad river's ice vine had a subcore. Fortunately, the white-haired young man and the rest had come. Otherwise, if Lu Ming had gone to retrieve the gem on the Myriad river's ice vine's head and the Myriad river's ice vine suddenly woke up and attacked, the consequences would be unpredictable. This won't do. If this goes on, the winner will be decided very soon. At that time, it will be disadvantageous for both of us. We must absorb the cold qi from her body as soon as possible. Old Liang, can't you be faster? Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to the quantity formula. If I hurry, it'll be easily exposed. And your palms are separated by palms, too far from her heart and brain. The heart and brain are both fragile parts. If I increase my strength, the cold air will hurt her heart and brain. The quantity formula said. Then how can we increase the speed? Lu Ming asked again. It's simple. Place one hand on her forehead and the other on her heart. This way, you'll be able to perform better when we're closer. The quantity formula said. Ah. Lu Ming was in a difficult position. It was fine if it was stuck to the forehead, but if it was stuck to the girl's heart, it was a little. Hurry up. You're a man and yet you're still so wishy-washy. Don't say that I didn't warn you when the outcome of the battle is decided. The quantity formula called out. All right. Lu Ming gritted his teeth and stared at the beautiful woman. Miss, you can see the situation now. In order to save you as soon as possible, I'm sorry. With that, Lu Ming placed one hand on the beautiful woman's forehead and his other hand on her heart. What are you doing? No, don't, the woman cried out. However, Lu Ming could not be bothered with her. He placed his palm on the woman's heart. The woman's voice stopped abruptly. She stared at Lu Ming with her big watery eyes. Her eyes were filled with anger, shyness, and other complicated emotions. Her originally white face had also turned red. Cough cough. Being stared at so intently, Lu Ming could not help but feel a little embarrassed despite his thick skin. He coughed a few times and said to the quantity word formula, Old Liang, you'd better hurry. Leave it to me, the quantity formula glowed. A strong suction force flowed along Lu Ming's palm and entered the beautiful woman's heart and brain, absorbing the cold air in her body. The cold qi in her body was absorbed by the Liang word art at an alarming rate. The ice on the beautiful woman's body quickly melted and disappeared. Her body gradually regained its warmth. At this moment, the battle between the three-headed snow lion and the Myriad river ice vine had already entered a state of white heat. Although the Myriad river's ice vine only had its subcore left, it had lost its intelligence and was completely mad. Its combat strength was also extremely terrifying, suppressing the three-headed snow lion. Finally, one of the frost lions couldn't hold on any longer and an ice vine pierced through its head, killing it on the spot. As such, only the white-haired youth and the other youth were left. "Third brother, what should we do? Are we going to die here?" The other young man said in fear. This young man was also a half-step divine king. He was slightly weaker than the white-haired young man, but he was still very strong. They had tried many times to rush out, but the 9 vines were waving so tightly that they were airtight, completely blocking their retreat. Blue Spirit, please continue reading on Oxful. Omicronim. Today, only by killing him will we have a chance to kill him. His vital point is that head. Let's join forces and kill him. The white-haired young man was a decisive man. Since he couldn't escape, he could only risk his life. The two of them came up with a plan through voice transmission. The 2 snow lions roared and used the lion's roar technique. The air was overbearing and blew away a few vines. Then, the 2 rushed towards the vines' heads. However, there were 9 vines in total. Immediately, the rest of the vines shot towards the 2 frost lions. "He'll block the vines, you go and kill him." At this moment, an ice snow lion roared loudly. His entire body was burning with divine power. He opened his mouth and roared. One after another, lions flew out from his mouth and charged towards the vines. This was a secret technique that was condensed from divine power. This frost lion was going all out. It burned its divine power and activated a terrifying secret technique. Boom, boom, boom. The lions rushed out one after another, slamming into the vines and actually temporarily pushing away the 9 vines. How could the white-haired young man miss such an opportunity? His entire body glowed and he roared as he charged towards the head of the Myriad River's ice vine. He waved his sharp claws and streaks of claw radiance clawed at the head of the Myriad River's ice vine. The Myriad River's ice vine roared and opened its mouth. Icicles shot out from its mouth and collided with the white-haired youth's claw radiance. At the same time, the ultimate cold gem on the head of the Myriad River ice vine glowed. A white beam of light shot toward the white-haired youth. This beam of light was extremely terrifying and its speed was shocking. Previously, even the absolute beauty and Lu Ming could not avoid it. The white-haired young man naturally couldn't avoid it and was hit by the white beam. The white-haired youth's body stiffened as soon as he was hit by the white light. A layer of ice crystals appeared on the surface of his body at an alarming speed. The snow lion cultivated divine power of the cold attribute and it controlled divine-grade divine power, but it could not block the cold air of the light beam. Bang! The white-haired young man's huge body fell to the ground, unable to move at all. He wasn't dead yet, and his eyes were filled with fear. Roar! The other snow lion let out a furious roar. However, there was only one snow lion left, and it was even less of a match for the 10,000 Rivers ice vines. The 9 ice vines danced wildly, attacking the snow lion like a storm. Soon, the snow lion couldn't hold on any longer. Its body was hit continuously and it was seriously injured. If we're going to die, well, die together. The ice lion's eyes were filled with madness as it charged towards the Myriad River ice vine, its body emitting a blinding white light. He was going to self-destruct. In the next moment, with a terrifying explosion, the frost lion self-destructed, and the terrifying energy swept through the entire underground space. Not good. Lu Ming reached out and grabbed the beautiful woman's slender waist. His figure flashed and he retreated far away. He set up layers of defense in front of him to offset the impact of the outside world. The light dissipated, and the self-destructing snow lion had disappeared. The white-haired youth who was frozen and on the verge of death had also completely fallen. As for the Myriad River's ice vine, it was obviously injured as well. It was at the center of the explosion, and there were several big holes in its head. Its aura was much weaker. The Myriad River's ice vine howled and glared at Lu Ming and the beautiful woman with its furious eyes. The 9 vines danced and rushed toward Lu Ming and the beautiful woman. Good, I can make it. At this moment, Lu Ming heaved a long sigh of relief. He suddenly let go of the beautiful woman and retreated quickly. Boom! Lu Ming had just retreated when a powerful aura burst out from the beautiful woman. Lu Ming had finally absorbed the last bit of cold air in the beautiful woman's body. Once the cold air was absorbed, the beautiful woman's powerful cultivation burst out in full force. That was why Lu Ming had retreated in a hurry. Who knew if the absolute beauty would kill him after she recovered? The absolute Bowtie's eyes were cold as she swept a glance at Lu Ming. In the end, her figure flashed and she charged at the Myriad River's ice vine. Die! The absolute beauty shouted and sword light burst out one after another, aiming for the Myriad River ice vine's head. Because of the subcore, the Myriad River's ice vine's strength was not as strong as before. Just now, it was injured by the snow lion's self-explosion, so its strength had weakened a lot. In this way, it was no match for the beautiful woman at all. As for the absolute beauty, all she had to do was to pay attention to the white light beam that the other party shot out. Whoosh, whoosh. The sword lights attacked the Myriad River ice vine like a tide. Some of the sword lights pushed the opponent's vines away, while the rest of the sword lights hit the head of the Myriad River's ice vine, leaving sword wounds on its head. The Myriad River's ice vine roared madly. It had no spiritual intelligence. Its head glowed and another beam of light flew out from the gem. However, this time, the absolute beauty was already on guard. She was far enough away, and her figure flashed, avoiding the light beam. Slash! The beautiful woman shouted as she held her sword with both hands. A terrifying sword light shot into the sky. Then, the sword light slashed at the Myriad River ice vine. The sword light was too powerful. It was the all-out attack of the absolute beauty. It directly swept away the 9 vines and slashed at the head of the Myriad River's ice vine. The Myriad River's ice vine's head was instantly split in half. With this, the Myriad River's ice vine had completely fallen. Its huge corpse fell heavily to the ground. After killing the Myriad River's ice vine, the absolute beauty turned around and looked at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body tensed up and he was ready for a big battle. You saved my life this time, so I'll spare you this time. Next time we meet, I won't let you go. Remember, the one who killed you, Lan Ling. After leaving behind these cold words, the absolute beauty turned into a sword light and rushed into the passage, disappearing in the blink of an eye. After the beautiful woman left, Lu Ming secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the absolute beauty still had some conscience and didn't continue to kill him. Otherwise, he would have to prepare to escape again. Lan Ling, is that her name? Lu Ming muttered. He then shook his head and smiled bitterly. He had mixed feelings. No one would be able to remain calm when a beautiful woman appeared out of nowhere and said that she wanted to marry him. I have to improve my strength as soon as possible. Otherwise, I'll be hunted down by this crazy woman again the next time I see her. Lu Ming underestimated it and walked towards the Myriad River's ice vine. The Myriad River's ice vine's head had been split in half by the blue spirit sword. Its subcore had also been shattered by the destructive sword chi. It couldn't be more dead. Fortunately, the chilling gem is fine. Lu Ming looked at the gem on the head of the Myriad River's ice vine. It was still intact. Fortunately, the angle of Lan Ling's attack was slightly off. Otherwise, if the gemstone was shattered, Lu Ming would vomit blood. In a flash, he appeared on the Myriad River's ice vine's head. Lu Ming took out a combat sword and removed the glacial gem from the Myriad River's ice vine's head. Of course, this kind of rattan was extremely tough. It was not easy to refine it. Lu Ming spent half a month to completely refine the rattan and integrate it into the ice chains. With a thought, the ice chains danced like long snakes. Ooh! The ice chains whipped in the air, erupting with a terrifying whistling sound. Bang! The ice chain struck the ground, causing the ground to shake and gravel to fly everywhere. A ditch a few meters deep was created. What a powerful force! Lu Ming's eyes lit up. One had to know that the ground here had been eroded by the cold nether energy for many years and had long been extremely hard. However, a whip from the ice chain had caused great damage, while the ice chain itself was not affected at all. Then, Lu Ming took out a high-grade divine sword and slashed at the ice chains with all his might. Clang! Sparks flew in all directions, and the divine sword hummed and vibrated non-stop. However, there was not a single mark on the ice chains. It's too tough. It has completely inherited the characteristics of the Myriad River ice vine. Kid, that's a good idea. The Myriad River's ice vine was born naturally and has endless potential. It was far from reaching its peak before. So, as long as you refine its vines into your secret skill, the power of your secret skill will continue to improve as your cultivation improves. The quantity formula said. Old Liang, how's the refining of the energy going? Lu Ming looked delighted. Refining energy can't be done overnight, but I've already refined a portion of it. I can transfer it to you now. The quantity formula said. Let's wait for a while. I'll refine all the remaining vines first, Lu Ming said. Following that, Lu Ming continued to struggle. He cut off the remaining 8 vines and refined them into his ice chains. Lu Ming realized that the remaining ice chains were more difficult to fuse with the rattan. It also took a longer time. Just like that, Lu Ming spent a whole year to refine the remaining 8 vines and integrate them into the ice chains. With a single thought, the 9 ice chains danced in the air, making a terrifying whistling sound. With another thought, the 9 ice chains disappeared without a trace. He could use it freely. In this case, my combat strength has increased a little. Lu Ming smiled. Now, the 9 ice chains were extremely tough. They could be used to attack and defend. Ordinary people couldn't break them at all. This greatly increased Lu Ming's life-saving energy. Old Liang, now, transfer the refined energy to me. Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to the quantity formula. Now, it was time to improve his cultivation. All right, pay attention. The sound of the quantity formula was heard. Following that, a wave of dense and pure energy emerged. Lu Ming sat cross-legged and began to absorb this energy to cultivate. This kind of energy was extremely pure. Lu Ming could easily refine it and transform it into his own divine power. In his dantian, the divine fire formed by the 5 types of divine-grade divine power continued to grow. Those 5 divine flames were originally equivalent to first-level heavenly deities. At this moment, they were rapidly approaching second-level heavenly deities. A few days later, the flames of the 5 divine flames suddenly skyrocketed, successfully charging to second-level celestial deity. The upgrade continued. 10 days later, the 5 divine flames assailed the third-level celestial deity realm again. This speed was extremely shocking. This meant that Lu Ming was constantly breaking through realms. If he were to cultivate normally, he would definitely need to spend a lot of time. A few hundred years would be considered little, and a few thousand years or even 10,000 years would be considered normal. This was the advantage of having the measure formula. The 5 divine flames were still rising, continuously approaching the 4th-level celestial deity realm. However, when it rose to the peak of the 3rd-level celestial deity realm, it no longer had any energy. The energy that emerged from the quantity formula had been completely refined. Is there any more? Lu Ming said to the quantity word formula with eager eyes. You should be satisfied to have so much energy in a year. The quantity formula said. Lu Ming was speechless. However, after thinking about it, he felt that he should be satisfied. If he didn't have the extreme cold gem, even if he used the quantity formula to refine the energy of a star's core, it would still take hundreds of years. Now, he could achieve it in a year. Lu Ming should be satisfied. Cultivation base breakthrough. Please continue reading on Oxful. Omicronim. However, there's still a lot of energy left in the freezing gem. It can also neutralize the energy of many star cores. Just wait. The quantity formula said. Lu Ming nodded and immediately started to cultivate. This underground space was very remote. It was already in the cold nether forbidden ground, so almost no one came here. Ever since Lan Ling left, no one else came to the place. Lu Ming was happy to be idle and he was focused on cultivating. When the quantity formula had not transferred energy to him, Lu Ming had been focused on comprehending the secret skill. When there was energy, Lu Ming would refine it. Every few months, the quantity formula would give him a stream of energy. Just like that, another 2 years passed. Lu Ming had been here for more than 3 years. In the past 3 years, Lu Ming's cultivation level had improved rapidly. In the beginning, the divine fire condensed from the 5 types of divine-grade divine energy had all been raised to the same level as the ruler's divine energy and inextinguishable sword force. Then, the 9 types of divine energy broke through together. Just a few days ago, Lu Ming had successfully broken through to 5th-tier celestial god. The 9 types of divine energy in his body had all broken through to the 5th-level celestial deity realm. This caused Lu Ming's combat strength to skyrocket. With my current combat strength, it shouldn't be difficult for me to deal with the white-haired young man. Lu Ming muttered, secretly estimating his ability. The white-haired young man was a half-step divine king and his divine power was about 60 to 70% awakened. 3 years ago, Lu Ming was definitely not this person's match. However, Lu Ming was confident that he could defeat this person now. Lu Ming estimated that his current ability should be equivalent to a half-step divine king. The degree of awakening of his divine power was about 80 to 90% of the geniuses. The comparison of strength here referred to the geniuses who controlled divine-grade divine power. Without divine-grade divine power, there was no such thing as awakening divine power. However, Lu Ming was probably no match for the powerful indigo spirit. My attack-type divine skill is still at the 7th level. If I can break through to the 8th level, it'll be even stronger. Lu Ming pondered. However, such strength was already considered to be at the top among the Heaven's Pride experts who had entered Star Moon Ancient City. After all, there were only a few top talents who had awakened the origin divine power factor. Unfortunately, the energy of the chilling gem has been used up. Otherwise, I could continue to try. Lu Ming muttered and shook his head. He knew that he was being greedy. This time, not only had his other 5 types of divine-grade divine power increased, but his cultivation had also broken through 1 level. This was already a great harvest. One had to know that he had broken through with 9 types of divine power at the same time. The amount of energy required was too terrifying. If he only cultivated 1 type of energy, he would definitely rise by more than 1 level. I've already wasted more than 3 years. It's time for me to go out and take a walk. It's not easy for me to come to Star Moon Ancient City. I can't waste my time like this. Lu Ming smiled and left the place. Not long after, Lu Ming reached the surface and flew out of the land of the cold nether. Very few people came to the cold nether forbidden ground. Lu Ming flew all the way and did not meet a single person. Not long after, Lu Ming left the range of the cold nether forbidden ground. After leaving the cold nether forbidden grounds, Lu Ming took out a map and looked at it. This map was naturally the map given to him by Wu Zixiong. Very soon, Lu Ming locked onto the location. Myriad God Cliff. On the map, there was a big circle, and the place was marked in big black characters. This was an important place in Star Moon Ancient City. Previously, Wu Zixiong and the rest had mentioned that Lu Ming could cultivate at Myriad God Cliff when he was free. This was because this place could help people awaken the origin divine power factor. It was said that many people had awakened the origin divine power factor at Myriad God Cliff in the past. Or perhaps, some people had returned to the universal camp after cultivating at Myriad God Cliff and awakened their origin genes. This was a place that they had to go to once they entered Star Moon Ancient City. A few years ago, if Lu Ming had not been looking for supreme cold treasures to improve his strength, he would have gone there long ago. However, it was not too late to go now. Lu Ming followed the directions on the map and headed towards Myriad God Cliff. 2 days later, Lu Ming arrived at Myriad God Cliff. Myriad God Cliff was a cliff. However, this cliff was very magnificent. It was hundreds of thousands of feet high and there were many statues carved on the cliff. The statues were of different sizes, and they were carved with different gods. Some were ferocious, some were majestic, and some were terrifying. At a glance, there really were no less than 10,000. It was said that these statues were all carvings of primitive gods. And in the air outside Myriad God Cliff, There were stone platforms floating in the air. These stone platforms were extremely huge. Each one was 10 miles in length and width. From high to low, from far to near, they were like steps floating in the air. On each of these stone platforms, there was a figure sitting cross-legged. On each stone platform, there was only one figure. There were also many figures standing in the void outside the stone platform, watching from afar. Lu Ming flew over. Many people glanced at him and ignored him. Although Lu Ming had passed through the sky gate and many people knew him, his cultivation level was very low. These people did not take it to heart. Lu Ming did not mind and looked forward. There was a person sitting cross-legged on each of the stone platforms, and a layer of light enveloped each person. "Brother, why is there only one person on each stone platform? Can't the others go up?" Lu Ming asked a young man who looked simple and honest. "You just got here, right?" The honest-looking young man glanced at him. Yes, yes," Lu Ming said with a smile. It said that this stone platform was used by ancient deities during the early stages of the heavenly palace to observe the Myriad god cliff's cultivation. Ancient deities were all extremely huge, which is why this stone platform is so big. And each stone platform can only accommodate one person at a time. If there are too many people, they will be bounced off. The honest-looking young man explained. "I see." Lu Ming came to a realization. No wonder there was only one person on each stone platform. Now that the stone platform has been occupied by them, won't we have no chance? Lu Ming asked again. Of course there's a chance, but everything must be fought for with strength. The honest-looking young man said. Fight for it with your own strength? What do you mean? Lu Ming asked. This stone platform was set up with a powerful restriction in the early days of the Heavenly Palace era. It operates according to a certain rule. If a person practices on a stone platform, the formation of the stone platform will protect him. The honest-looking young man explained. Lu Ming nodded. There was a layer of light on the people on the stone platform. It was the power of the formation's protection. With the protection of the formation, you can cultivate in peace. Others can't attack you. However, this protection has a time limit. After 3 months, this protection will disappear. Of course, it will only disappear for a short period of time. It will only last for 1 day. After 1 day, the protective power of the formation will appear again. Therefore, today is the day to fight for the stone platform. The honest-looking young man said. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.